Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex. Lord, Alex, we asked for a easy, calm, get up early. Let's not worry about it. Take advantage of Paul Blackburn, who really struggled in relief. If you saw the numbers, you saw him. It was bad. It was like 7 earned runs in his last 2 relief appearances. And the Braves took advantage. Ronald Acuña Jr. We'll talk about him later because the story is Christopher Sale. And I don't even know if his first name is Christopher, but for this thing, his first name is Christopher. The guy was unbelievable. It didn't look like he broke a sweat. And he's on one of those runs where there's not many pitchers in the history of baseball at this level, in this time period, that can go on runs like that. Like there's maybe 3 in the league right now. I would say Scooball, Chris Sale, and Paul Skeens, where it's like every time they step out there, they're going to give you 7, 8, maybe even 9 innings. And you're going to have basically no chance. I mean, he's in a zone of a Cy Young Award winner. He's firmly back in the mix. And more than anything, I think he sent a message last night. We talk all about the leadership, right? You can't see what goes on in the clubhouse. But the play that he had in the 9th inning, that kind of effort in a 5-0 game from a 36-year-old that's been injured half of his career, for him to go out and make that play, I really think it was a message that, hey, we're still in this. I'm fighting this. I'm going to go tooth and nail with you to the very damn end. And we still got some fight left. It felt that way to me.
Yeah, honestly, don't do that. I mean, you're 35. Hey, buddy, I appreciate it. And it worked out and everything's nice. And I don't want to be the Debbie, but don't do that. I mean, leave that to the 25-year-old Schwellenbach who played shortstop. Strider, too. Literally, don't do anything, Strider. Like, there's some guys I'm comfortable. Like, I did that a little. Like, I tensed up a little bit where I was like, oh, I mean, he dove off of the mound. And I mean, it's not exactly like he's a robust character. He's all skin and bone. He's a Slim Reaper of baseball. Yeah. But, yeah, it's so much fun to watch him pitch. And I think you saw last night, and the night before, and then we're going to see it again tonight, that if we can just get in and we have our horses lined up, Sale, Schwelly, Strider. I mean, I know we just got to get in, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but that gets me going. This is the big start for Strider, but those 2 guys in Schwelly got, I think the stat line from Schwelly start's going to get, taken out of context. He did have that solo home run, but then he had a bloof double that scored 2 that really shouldn't have been even a double. I mean, Acuña probably catches that, 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times. But like Schwelly's among the 10 best pitchers in the National League. If Strider can build off of what we saw, he is one of the best 10 pitchers in the National League. And Strider, arguably, at least in the postseason, will be the best pitcher in the National League. And if we can just get hot, can we just get a couple guys hot? I mean, I was looking at it last night, and I was like, I mean, the Mets are the best team, have the 2nd best record in the National League, I think it is. And hot knife through butter. Hot knife. And I know they don't have their horses up on the mound, but hot knife through butter, at least our staff is.
It's pretty simple. Like, anytime we step on the field with anybody, even when we're playing bad, there's never a moment where I sit here and say, wow, we're overmatched. Wow, we don't have the guys to stand up to these games. Even in amid our worst stretch, we're losing by 1 run. We're losing by 2 runs. We're not. I think we trail the fewest by 3 runs of any team in the league. Like, we have a positive run differential like this. There's not a team in the league that can sit here and overpower the Braves, especially with one of those horses on the mound. And you're right. They give you a chance every time. And hopefully the Atlanta Braves can cap it off the right way, because it would just be the icing on the cake. Like, when you talk about all these things in the checkpoints of momentum, you finally got Acuña back. Now the wins are starting to pile up. He's playing unbelievable. You got a legitimate MVP candidate, which we should probably talk about later. Strider starting to look like himself. Can he check that box tonight and send us home with the sweep? You swept the Mets. You've won 3 series. You're 5.5 games back in the wild card. Like, we were 9 last week. I mean, it just shows you how quickly things can change. Oh, and by the way, here comes Jurickson Profar. Here comes the trade deadline. So can we just keep getting past these checkpoints? And right now, things look really good. And if you can cap it off with a Strider sweep of the Mets, and the Braves are lining up all of those guys to go into Citi Field and try to do it again, you start to feel a little type of some way.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect. I mean, it's like I said, yesterday, where it's like making money. Getting your first million is probably really hard, but, the millions start piling on after that. Winning in baseball is the same exact way. where it's kind of like you see one go through the hoop and now you're starting to roll. Now it feels good coming off of your fingertips. And that's kind of how it is in baseball. And we're still doing it without much help from a majority of the lineup. And I know Austin Riley had that, walk-off on Tuesday, but he is capable of going absolutely nuclear. Both of our catchers are in a slump right now. Ozuna's in a slump, and hopefully Mike Harris can come out of whatever he's been doing.
Yesterday?
Yep.
Hopefully he's okay with the
triple and a double he had yesterday.
A little power in the bat. Haven't seen that in a while.
So it's kind of one of those things where you start to see it come together on the field. You're a player. The fans start to get by. We're getting a little louder in Truist Park. You hear Anthopoulos give a fiery interview on 680 about, hell no, we are not selling. I am not trading Chris Sale. We're calling him out. We are not trading Chris Sale. I am trying to trade for somebody right now. You hear that. You hear Truist Park. You see your guys. You see Acuña, Euro stepping, throwing grenades. I mean, the snowball is starting to roll.
Yeah, Profar gets back in there, a new guy, an energizer guy.
Who is doing very well on the farm. I mean, it's just
an energizer. But let's talk about the man, Ronald Acuña Jr., because I wrote something on the site. Go check it out at SportsTalkATL. Even though he's only played 23 games, he is already 9th in all of the National League in outfielders WAR. He is going to earn his spot in the All-Star game based on merit, which is just absurd. He's going to have played 40 games. He's going to have to play fewer than half of the rest of the National League, and he's going to earn it on merit. So he's a shoo-in for the All-Star game because it's about stars. It's in Atlanta. He's one of the biggest stars. Nobody should be mad if he takes your spot. And if he doesn't get in because of the votes or whatever, so he's getting in. The question is, can he win the MVP? Because I kind of thought it was far-fetched. I hadn't really checked the WAR leaderboards in the National League, but Pete Crow Armstrong, who's having a fantastic year, but this is really his breakout year. How long is that going to go? And then you look at Shohei Ohtani and you look at Fernando Tatis, they're at like 3.3 WAR. I mean, Ronald Acuña is on like a 13, 14 WAR pace over 162 games. And it will be taken into account a couple of things. One, look at where the Atlanta Braves were when Ronald Acuña Jr. got here. Floating, dying, needing a lifeboat. And he's that lifeboat. That's the definition of most valuable player. And the fact that he missed 40 games, they're not going to just scoff at it. Like, if he's close in WAR, they're going to be like, yeah, that guy missed 40 games. He had a way better season. It was more valuable. If it's close in WAR and the Braves make the playoffs, he's going to win an MVP for the second year. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, well, backtracking to the All-Star game, I would put it an absolute certainty that he'll be there one way or the other, whether it's voted in as a starter, which is done by the fans. He is one of the biggest. There aren't 5 bigger stars in this game. I mean, it's Ohtani, Judge, and you'd be hard-pressed to find 2 others that are bigger than Acuña. And even if that doesn't happen, let's just say that doesn't happen, Soto, the New York draw, whatever, even though he is not deserving whatsoever compared to Acuña, the next one is players and coaches. And the players and coaches is also the MLB commissioner. It's in Atlanta. Acuña is the 3rd biggest star in baseball. He's going to represent the city of Atlanta. His peers love him. You see it all the time, where it goes, who's the most entertaining player? He's either 1, 2, or 3. And then obviously the coaches, all anyone ever says is he is, you hear it all the time that he's the most physically talented Brave of all time. Now, not best, just talented. And so I think the All-Stars, we don't even need to talk about it because he will be out there. In fact, I think the argument should really just be, should be starting or not. And I think he should be starting. MVP, this isn't unprecedented. Go look at some of the people who have won MVPs, played 115 games, 110 games. This is not going to be an unprecedented kind of argument where we're like, he is the first person to do 40-70. He's the first person to play 115, 120 games and win the MVP. He won't be the first. In fact, you go look at those numbers, and this guy is doing pretty much, I don't want to say double over the course of 162 games, but 1.5 times what those MVPs won. He's playing better right now than he was when he won the MVP. And that was in terms of a WAR, and that was with him stealing 70+ bags.
Yeah. I would have said the chances before the season. And then even when he was coming back, I would have put them at like 5-10%. And immediately over 23 games, I'm like, dude, he's probably got like a 40% chance.
What's even crazier
if he stays healthy and plays the rest of the season, because he'll slow down. I mean, he's not going to hit 400, but he's not going to slow down a
He
lot.
hit 330.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
He is as locked in as I have ever seen him.
He's not going to slow down a lot.
And I think another thing that is holding him back to a certain extent is he is not getting pitches. Like, he is getting intentional, unintentional walks all the time. And while that results in a higher OPS, I'm talking like home runs. I'm talking WAR. Like a free bag, a free walk is nothing compared to what a double would do for your WAR, for your slugging,
yeah, he
for your OPS.
Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts protecting him in the lineup, which is why we talked about that thing. And it was proven again yesterday. He hits a leadoff homer, and that'll be like the one time each game he gets pitched to. That's why he hits a home. You want to know why he always hits a homer? You want to know why he always hits a home run in the first inning and doesn't hit it nearly as many in the other innings? Because they just stop pitching it to him. Because Alex Verdugo and Eli White are sitting behind him, and every single time those guys came up in RBI situations, they said, "Nah, Acuña, here you go." And then they went and pitched to Alex Verdugo, and guess what? It worked. That's going to continue to be a trend. So hopefully it's something. But that was unbelievable from Ronald Acuña Jr. And we got another unbelievable thing to talk about coming up after the break that just broke today. So this is breaking right about now, and it hasn't been confirmed by the big names, but I trust it enough to where I believe, because a lot of small guys have confirmed it. And when these kind of things happen, it usually doesn't come from your Jeff Passons or your Mark Bowmans. It's like some random guy who's a dad of a player on a minor league team. That's really where it comes from. And this is exactly what happened. I believe it was Joe. I'll have to give him credit later, but congratulations, big KSU fan. He says that Didier Fuentes is going to be called up by the Atlanta Braves, which means he's likely going to be starting against the Miami Marlins. That is unbelievable. Didier Fuentes just got called up to AAA. He is 19 years old. Now, he's got great stuff. The numbers aren't necessarily great, but he strikes out batters and he doesn't walk guys. And that's what all the Atlanta Braves look for. Once you get to the point in the minor leagues where you strike out guys and you don't walk them, the Atlanta Braves are like, yep, come on up. And it makes a little sense. I think Scott Coleman of the Battery Power did bring this up. To start him against Miami, push Schwellenbach back, get Chris Sale, Schwellenbach, and Strider again against the Mets, because that formula worked. But regardless of the reasoning, what an incredible moment, because no 19-year-old player was even in AAA outside of Ronald Acuña Jr. and Ozzie Albies. He is now going to make his major league debut, it looks like.
Yep, Joe Webster of Twitter. I have no idea who this guy is.
No, I'm telling you, he's
a recruiting scouting intern for Kennesaw State.
I'm telling you, he probably knows someone that's on the Gwinnett Stripers.
Yeah, he's it looks like, because there's a couple other guys who are notable and work in the industry who have confirmed it. So it does feel like it is true, and it does make a lot of sense that if you're the Atlanta Braves, to get your horses right back on the saddle, so to speak, and have them ready for when you go to Citi Field next week. And he's got electric stuff. He's got a fastball in terms of like the swing and miss stuff, similar to Strider, pre-injury Strider, where it's just it's a unicorn pitch where he gets insane amounts of whiffs on his fastball alone, and then he pairs it with some pretty nasty off-speed stuff. But you mentioned it. His strikeout to ball ratio, his strikeout to walk ratio is where everybody's eyes should go, because you're going to see some not so sexy ERA numbers, and that should be taken with a grain of salt always. You should dig in and look. You go watch him throw. He was throwing, I think, like 93, 94 last year, a couple years ago, and now he's sitting 97 and can run it up to 98. And then like I said, he misses a lot of bats with that fastball. You said it, only 19 years old. He's a kid, but he's still freakishly athletic. Like everything you read about this kid, about guys who do know baseball and scouting and everything, he's freakishly athletic. So he's going to build or grow into that kind of body of his. So I think everybody should be excited about him, because the Braves don't do this hastily. And it's not like it's a big need. While you could see the motivation behind it to get Schwelly, Strider, Sale on the bumps in New York, this isn't desperate. This isn't game 160 or 59, 60 or 60, 61, 62. It's like, we got to have it against the Mets or we're out. It is, put up or shut up time, but this is not, they feel good about it. They would not bring him up I mean, if they did, they would have just brung up some bum from AAA. Like, that's who they would have brung up.
They could have done an opener. Like, right. There's a million other things that they could have done.
They're doing this. I think it's a two-sided, two-pronged attack. But I think the most important thing is, like, they believe in this kid, that he can come up here and potentially, have a little bit of a role here in 2025.
Well, I think there's another thing that you have to consider about this move is the depth of the pitching staff, which we've talked about time and time again, is razor thin. Now, this current group is amazing. We talked about the three guys in Strider, Schwellenbach, and Sale, and Grant Holmes is having a really good season as a number 4, and Bryce Elder has been pitching pretty well. But you don't really know about Bryce Elder, and you don't really know if Grant Holmes is going to cut up. And if someone gets injured, you need somebody. And right now the Braves don't have anybody. Like, they do not have Hurston Waldrop. It has been, very, very bad. Inconsistent. Yeah, bad. You can say bad, but I would say inconsistent because sometimes he's good, but sometimes he's really bad. Ian Anderson's not a guy.
Ian Anderson, honestly, I don't know if he's going to be even in AAA next. That guy cannot throw strikes. And, he's bad.
So seeing if Didier Fuentes could potentially be a spot starter.
It's a future
from time to time throughout this season is definitely something. And then another thing that I take away from this is the Braves have always never been hesitant. We've seen it with Schwellenbach. We've seen it with Smith-Shawver. We've seen it with so many young guys that barely have any minor league experience, and they're willing to bring them up. I think it sends a great message to the organization that despite whatever your prospect ranking says, if you come up here and learn and you develop within the system and you throw strikes and you develop your secondary offerings and you follow the proper checklist that the organization provides, because they've been doing this for years with pitchers. They've been one of the best at developing pitchers. Everyone has a plan.
Even position players.
Yeah. And if you succeed and do that plan, they will call you up over a guy who was drafted higher than you, paid more than you, here longer than you. And I think that's a good message to send, and it should excite you about some of the Braves' younger arms, the J.R. Richies, the Cam Caminettis, that they might not be, they might be in A, they might be in AA, but hell, if Fuentes was an A not long ago, as in last year.
Yeah, I think the blueprint has been laid for anybody. I think, even Jean Carlos, I think, he's a guy that you can still look at and think that he could fill a role depending on how the trade deadline.
Strike.
And Joe Jimenez, turns back. But like the blueprint has been laid for anyone. Position players, Acuña, Ozzie, you said it. Mike Harris, he skipped AAA. Schwellenbach, even Strider came up kind of not out of nowhere as much as Schwellenbach did, but the blueprint has been laid. If you're good enough, it doesn't matter who you are, where you were drafted, how much you're paid, or where you are in the organization. Atlanta will find a way to get you to the major leagues.
Yeah. So you do have the Marlins kind of smushed in between the Mets and the Phillies, but that game, that series is specifically, I can't get it out. He starts. That's a must-watch game right there. Yep. We got more to talk about coming up after the break. The Atlanta Braves have bullpen problems, but just think about it this way. I do think they're going to add no matter what. If they add anything, it's going to be at least a bullpen arm. But internally, there is the potential for this group to get so much better than they've been. And it starts with Rafael Iglesias, who we saw against the Mets a couple of nights, look like the Rafael Iglesias of the 3 years that he's been here in Atlanta. And if that's something that happens over the second half of the season, all of a sudden you got a closer back, which has been the weakest link of your entire bullpen. And then you think about a couple of injured guys that we haven't really talked about in a long time. Joe Jimenez being one of them. Now, there were rumors out there. I don't know about the report that he started throwing, and they're hoping around the All-Star. He said that. Oh, yeah, you're right. He said that on a podcast that, around what? August, July?
Yeah.
August, July, he could start, ramping up his activities.
He said at the end of June he would like to be throwing bullpens.
Yeah. So, realistically, August, maybe sometime in July, he could rejoin. And I don't know what's going to happen with Ronaldo Lopez. It could be a season-ending thing. It could be something that he comes back over the last month or two. But that could be another piece. I can't imagine that he is going to turn back into a starting pitcher after all the fatigue issues and now a surgery that he's had to deal with. So those are three pieces right there. Three potentially big pieces if Jimenez and Lopez can come back down the season, and Rafael Iglesias, where you don't feel terrible. And also Dasbel Hernandez has been out for a few weeks, so he comes back in the bullpen. So there are four guys right there. Not saying you don't need to add, but, potentially a little bit of hope if everything comes together.
Just think about what it does for the other guys. like now you got Pierce Johnson and Dylan Lee pitching in the 6th inning instead of, the 8th and the 9th in some cases when Rosario Iglesias got, demoted. So like it just like Acuna coming back makes everybody better in the lineup and jerks and profile, while some people might still be skeptical, and it's fair. Even if he goes and is league average, he'll still be like the 5th best hitter on our team. It's going to have a residual effect on the rest of the guys in the bullpen if those guys come back, where everybody's getting bumped down. Now, Dylan Lee is down. Pierce Johnson's down a little bit more. Aaron Bummer is down a little bit more, where like those guys were – Pierce Johnson was a high leverage guy last year, and he was great in it, and maybe we're just relying on him a little bit more this year, and he's not that guy. But like Aaron Bummer and Dylan Lee, while they still have been surprisingly good this year, they are not high leverage guys. They should have never been. And another guy, I think, depending on what the situation with, hell, who knows? Didier Fuentes comes up and shocks the entire world. Who knows? And even past that, like you really only need 3 starters in a lot of cases. And it's not to say that Grant Holmes shouldn't get the ball in a playoff series if we need him. That guy could start a game, a bullpen game, or even go to a bullpen if you desperately need him. Say you went Schwelly or Sales, Strider, Schwelly, and you're on the 3rd game and you need that to kind of go to the championship series. You get Grant Holmes out of there. I mean, that guy just had 15 strikeouts.
Hell, bud, we watched Grant Holmes pitch in relief the first series and then start the next series. like Grant Holmes is
going to be like our little weapon where it's whatever we need you, buddy.
Exactly. Like Grant Holmes can be a guy that, okay, you haven't penciled in.
And that's without even the deadline, where we need one high leverage arm, at least one.
To me, at the trade deadline, the focus should be all-star reliever. It shouldn't be get multiple guys like Pierce Johnson. And it should be, no. Let's turn Rosario Iglesias into a setup, man. Admit that he might have
get a Aroldis. And then somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel Clase out in Cleveland. I know he's been struggling, but the stuff, you could go watch him say it and say you don't want him in here and say he can't turn it around. To me, it's like get a guy that can slam the door absolutely shut in the 9th inning. And you talk about moving things down. That just makes everybody else better. But then you get the reinforcements there. I don't know if it has to be multiple guys. Wouldn't mind multiple guys. But to me, go out there. All-star reliever. It's not the most expensive thing. It's going to cost a little bit. You don't have to give up a top prospect for it. But if a guy like Clase or something like that to me, I think would really solidify things. And it starts to look more and more like this team is going to be buying because they go out there and sweep the Mets. It's gonna be full steam ahead for this team.
And then you win a series against the Miami Marlins, which everyone should expect. In fact, you're expecting closer to a sweep than losing that series. And then we come back home and face those stinky Phillies. And guess who will be lining up again?
We play the Mets for 4 games. I mean, the Braves, theoretically, I believe this is how it lines up on both sides. The Mets leave and go play Philadelphia. Who knows how that series shakes out? I don't know who you really want to win.
It's going to be a hard one either way. And they're fighting a top. So they're going to, not burn their bullpen out, so to speak, but they're going to be trying to win those games because they're on a 5-game losing streak.
Yes, exactly. That to the Mets right now, the Phillies are like the team that they're really worried about, which is why their top starters are playing him. And guess what? They're going to turn around to the Braves and they're going to be throwing the same scrubs and the same matchups that we had this week. And I don't care if that field's in you know what I want to call it, but I'm going to say it, Citi Field. I'll call it by its real name. I don't care if it's in Citi Field. You give me those pitching matchups, I like the Braves' odds to win. And if the Mets go out there and struggle against the Philadelphia Phillies, let's say they get swept. Let's say like it just really gets bad. The Phillies get their number or lose 2 out of 3. Marlins sweep or the Braves win 2 out of 3 or sweep the Marlins. It's a little bit more ground made. And they go out there and do some damage in Citi Field. All of a sudden, this 13-game lead they had on the Braves in 1 week has fallen incredibly.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, mentally, I still just think that the Phillies are a better team than the Mets. I know that everything suggests otherwise, but I still don't believe in the Mets all that much. We just have the Mets number. Much like the Phillies just have our number, we get in there and we get scared.
In the playoffs,
I have no idea what it is, but like we've got the Mets numbers.
It's funny. It's funny.
Whatever
right?
it is.
Because the Phillies kind of have our number, at least in the playoffs, right? But the Mets have the Phillies number. And we have the Mets number. And it just goes like the little Spider-Man, like they run around a train. So wouldn't shock me if they go and beat the hell out of Philadelphia, and then we go out and beat the hell out of them,
and then come back home and get the poo-poo beat out of us by the Phillies.
The thing about the Phillies is it's never been a regular season. Like the Braves have won the regular season with the Phillies. Even last year when they won the division, they easily won the regular season. So they dominate pretty much everyone because they've been so good in the regular season.
Piss our pants.
Yeah, but listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie that I want to see the Philadelphia Phillies in a playoff series.
I don't.
Knock them out.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of anybody else.
I'll tell you the two
I'd
teams.
rather have the Dodgers.
No,
I'd rather have the Dodgers.
I would love the Dodgers. The Dodgers are like the Dodgers are a team that I love. You know the two teams that I don't want to play in the playoffs? The Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres. The San Diego Padres kick our butts no matter what. I don't want
to see them.
The Padres kick our butts no matter what.
They swept us in the there's no way they beat us in a wild card round or something. They swept us during the regular season.
They swept us in the wild card last year. They beat us 5 out of 6 games last year. They beat us 6 out of 7. No, I think we won one game. Okay. I think we did because Ronald. That was the series Acuña game. We won one of those games.
It's not pretty.
No, I'll tell you, the San Diego Padres, it makes no sense. And I made a TikTok video. It makes no sense to me how they're not a better team. Like, I don't know if it's crazy how teams have.
Well, they're paying Xander Bogaerts a lot of money, and that guy's a certified bum.
Xander Bogaerts.
Bring him to Atlanta. Take on some of that money and give them to us.
No, please don't.
Come on. He can't be worse than Nick Allen.
He can't even play shortstop anymore. What's funny about I just lost my train of thought there.
Screw the Padres. I actually don't mind the Padres. I wanted them to win it last year.
Yes,
I don't mind
anybody but the Dodgers.
I like a lot
anybody
of the
but the NL. It's like anybody in the NL East. Like
nobody in the NL East.
Nobody in that. Then Dodgers. Then that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
If those
Cardinals, I don't want to see the Cardinals win. Yeah, I actually don't want to see the Cubs win either, just because I still like them, but I don't know if I could stomach watching Dansby get a ring. Not with a at least
maybe they go back to back. Freddie Dansby,
right?
And then Fried wins next year.
Oh yeah. So I wouldn't even mind seeing Fried win one because at least it's the Yankees. And then at this point, it's honestly hilarious and so predictable that you see our 3 biggest stars, who were 3 of the biggest pieces, help us go to the World Series, go to the 3 biggest markets in baseball, and immediately everybody's like, these guys are Hall of Famers. These are the best players in baseball. It's like, we've been screaming that from the mountaintops.
Dansby's actually really underrated.
Yeah.
This wasn't a bad contract. Yeah. Max Fried's like the best left-handed pitcher. Freddie Freeman, that's first ballot.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've been screaming.
People were talking about Freddie Freeman when he was in Atlanta, like a 30% chance he's a Hall of Famer. I'm like, bro,
I'd rather have Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
Listen, Paul Goldschmidt had a great career, and he had a very good stretch. But the consistency of Freddie Freeman for his entire career, whether he was in Atlanta, and he's like 35. He gets better every year. He gets better every year.
Fine wine.
It's absolutely insane. But yeah, I'm glad to watch the Dodgers scuffle a little bit. It's going to be an interesting National League. I mean, the amount of teams that are in it. I mean, the Reds, the Cardinals, the Brewers, Giants. It's very interesting. Going to be a long road for the Braves, but they're back to their winning way. If you notice on the last couple of shows, I've been rocking the LSU jacket. And the LSU jacket will stay on probably until Monday when the College World Series wraps up, because the Fighting Tigers of LSU in a wild game against Arkansas.
That was one of the best games I've ever watched.
Yeah. I mean, it was a snooze fest
until it wasn't.
Until the relievers came in, and then it was like 2-1, 3-2, 3-3, 5-3, 6-5. LSU wins, and of course, it ends in an unfortunate fashion because it was a play, a line drive, a hard hit ball to left field that was a sinking line drive. I've seen major league players misplay this ball a million times. It's just unfortunate that it happened in the situation where you had a chance to get the monkey off your back in the College World Series, which Arkansas has had. Finally beat LSU. They're now 0-6 against LSU, specifically in the College World Series. Like that is just for 2 programs that are probably pretty equal. Maybe you can say LSU's a little better. The margins are very small. To be 0-6 in baseball on the biggest stage is wild, and to have it
Braves
in like
and Philly-esque.
Yeah, to have it in like that is just. It's heartbreaking. I mean, obviously the guy was crying. You saw everybody go. You saw everyone go up to him. That's the thing, though.
But it wasn't even though, and I know that play is going to get all of the attention and everything like that. But there was 2 other plays. LSU had one where just went right under his glove. They score a couple runs. I mean, the shortstop before that play had just going to third base to get the force out instead of trying to end the game with a double play. I mean, it's obviously not as boneheaded of a play, but it's also like that guy deserves to be feeling like poo-poo today as well, because while everybody in the left fielder is going to be bagging on him, I'm sure Pigs fans have already found out who he is and where he lives. But that shortstop deserves an equal amount of flack. I mean, that is at least a mental error. The other guy is like a physical error where I don't know which one's worse if you're a Pig fan, but like, good Lord Almighty.
I just don't even know.
I mean, that's a brutal decision. Who does that? You're the like. Arkansas is one of the best programs in baseball. That shortstop, whoever he is certainly a talented player. And you don't have enough confidence in your guys to turn to. And it wasn't like it was like, oh, I don't have time to turn to. It was a fine hit ball. You had time to at least try the double play. And worst case scenario, you've got one out with guys on the corners. You still have a force out.
Yeah, here's the thing. That runner at third also didn't matter. Like, it wasn't like you were stopped like that. Like,
they were up by 2.
It was a 2-run game. So there's no reason not to try to turn 2. There was absolutely no reason.
I didn't even think about that.
So it was certainly a mental gaffe. And I mean, that one is just as bad. I saw the play I was watching it live. I was like, dude, to me, that's a hit. Like, I know like it looked funky and it like hit him, but like, that was a smoked, sinking line drive that he misjudged a little and feet went out from under him. And then he tried to make like a diving catch. Like, yes, it was unfortunate. It looked weird. And it was definitely a play that he could have made. But it also wasn't like he makes that play 100 times out of 100. Like I said, I see MLB left fielders. Trust me, I've watched a lot of them.
Marcell Ozuna's one of the funniest.
Like I've got a lot of left fielders in my heyday that I have watched that would have not even made that look competitive. So I just didn't think I felt bad. They made a few things. The left fielder is going to get the brunt, but that's why I feel the most bad. I'm like, that was not an easy play. Like, it wasn't like he dropped the pop fly.
Right. And he's lucky it didn't come off and hit him right in the schnoz.
Yeah, actually,
I mean, that was wildly close.
I'll tell you what.
If that hit him in the face, he would have had facial reconstructive surgery.
Why I'm going here, but like, how sick of a picture would it have been? It does smoke him in the face, but he picks up the ball, throws it home, gets the guy out. Just like, that would have been an Arkansas moment for the ages.
I mean, poor Arkansas. They have got absolutely nothing going for them.
Well, I just don't feel bad for anybody.
No, I don't either. I mean, I feel bad because it was one of those like
rivalry, man.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But how about Bear Jones? I mean, that guy's 30 years old, still walking off games.
Marietta's own.
Yeah, he's from Marietta.
He went to Marietta High School.
I didn't know that. A lot of guys have gone to Marietta High School and gone on to play big pros and a lot of different schools.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Mecca. I mean, we look at Charlie Condon, who went to Walker and was the number 1 overall pick and had all that success at Georgia.
Good Lord, though, Bear Jones.
Yeah,
30 years old.
After the break, I want to talk a little bit more about the actual College World Series that's coming up, because we haven't talked about Coastal, who's one of the best stories in baseball right now. The College World Series is set, and it is definitely, in my opinion, of the 2 most deserving teams. Coastal hasn't lost a damn game. Yeah. They haven't lost a game this entire College World Series. They haven't lost a game since April 22nd. They have won 26 straight baseball games, and I understand they're not in the SEC, but I don't care. 26 games at any level. Yeah. And then you ran the table, and they beat number 4 ranked Auburn. They beat them in the Super Regional in Auburn. Yeah. Both times, back to back. They have not. So they are a little bit of I don't even say a little bit. They are a wagon. And this is a program that's won a national championship, beat LSU on the way to a national championship in Baton Rouge. So they've been there. They've done this. They're constantly in the picture. And then you have the big dog and LSU, won a championship 2 years ago, 7 national titles all year, has been in Omaha more times than I can count on 4 hands or 3 hands. Like, they are here every single time. But they've been dominant. I mean, they swept through their region in the College World Series, swept through the Super Regional, had a little bit of a hiccup against Arkansas Little Rock of all teams, which shows you baseball is just absolutely random. The 20-win Arkansas Little Rock, but very, very intriguing series because 2 big programs in their own right, different ways.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think for baseball fans, you could, if you have some allegiances to I don't know if you or a third party could have imagined a better College World Series matchup. And I think a lot of LSU fans owe Jay Johnson a big apology. because their season didn't go at the beginning how everybody expected, especially with how, the recruiting went and the transfer portal. And we have got a lot of resources, especially compared to Coastal Carolina, but just in general, the college baseball landscape, we've got the resources. And it didn't go well at first. It did not go well.
And then last year they struggled.
Right. And people, comparing Jay Johnson to and how we just won that one natty because we did have Paul Skeens and Dylan. Like, that team was absolutely loaded. I think a lot of LSU fans, and I'm not going to pretend like I watched every single LSU regular season game, but I still saw the stuff on social media. I think a lot of LSU fans owe Jay Johnson an apology, regardless of how this World Series goes. Regardless,
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, he's brought you to 2 college World
in
Series
3 seasons,
and he nearly went
4 seasons.
He nearly went back to back to back because they barely lost to UNC as pretty big underdogs,
right,
in that matchup in the Super Regional. But LSU to me is funny, and if I'm obviously I'm an LSU fan, I'm wearing the jacket. You're an LSU fan, and we're cheering for LSU. But if you're a college baseball fan, it's all Coastal. I mean, it's all. I mean, because you mentioned the money thing. LSU is quite literally in the NIL area the old school Yankees of baseball.
Yeah.
Like they have commitment. Like not many programs or every program's so focused on baseball. LSU allocates a large amount of funds to football on baseball. And they go out there and they're like, oh yeah, Paul Skeens, yeah, he's gonna be. Everyone knew who Paul Skeens was before he got to LSU. Yeah, we'll take one of those. Oh, by the way, we'll take one Tommy White. Yeah, bring him over here. And it's every single trade. Like LSU has guys in the bullpen that are all they have the highest velocity bullpen in the NCAA. Everyone comes out there throwing 98 plus, and most of them are like 18-year-old kids that they paid for in high school. They're the Yankees of college baseball.
It's nice, and because the football team isn't. I don't know what it is. Obviously, you need to have more to compete.
It's like,
on that level, but
I'll take my niche college sports champion. I'll take him where I can get him.
I mean, outside of football, basketball and base-up's a toss-up. I'll probably go baseball only because we're good at it. But honestly, I'd rather basketball. But baseball's third easily. Yeah. But
and then
got Kim
college basketball.
Yeah, and then we've got Kim Mulkey.
and then gymnastics,
track and field.
Come on. We got to rank them in order.
I loved watching Sha'Carri Richardson. I mean, she's a beast. I loved watching her, and we're always nasty. But yeah, I mean, this is it'll be pretty much Louisiana, and then like the east side of Texas and the west side of Mississippi, and then everybody else will be in that Coastal Carolina blue.
Yeah.
If you're looking
and
at
I don't blame you. And
the Chanticleers are a fun team.
Yeah.
It's Coastal Carolina. We're the LSU Tigers. We pay to play.
Yeah. I mean, they are everything about like just a grinded out team, and you'll see that if you watch the College World Series, which I think you will. They're going to lean into pitches.
There's nothing.
They're going to do everything the right way. They're not going to hit a bunch of homers, but they're going to play baseball the right way. And so far, it's won them 26 straight games. I don't think they should be a great one this weekend in the College World Series. Spencer Strider toes the bump as the Atlanta Braves try to go for the sweep. Alex, do they get it done? And how does Strider look? Is it the version that we saw the other week? Or does he have it? Does he put it back-to-back starts? Or is it the guy we saw the first
time? He had 15 or so pitches over 97 in his last start, and that's not an anomaly. I think he's building back up that stamina. I think he's carrying the heater deeper into games now. And, more than that, I think it's the control where he feels like he knows where that fastball is going a little bit more than he did. I'm thinking 6 1/3 with 2 runs.
Yeah. Listen, I think I'm not going to get up here and say when we have a chance to sweep the Mets, the Strider's going to struggle. I'm going to say he goes out there and dominates no matter what. I'm not totally sold on him being all the way back just yet, but I do think the encouraging signs continue whether they win or lose. That wraps up our show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll be back with you tomorrow.